you and greet the members of the public that are observing the proceedings of today's meeting. My name is No.196. I'm chairing today's meeting. With me, I'm joined by my colleagues, which I would request them to greet, as I mentioned, their names so that you can be able to recognize their voices as we discuss the issues. I would like to start off by introducing the member of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee, Mr. Thembani Pukula, who's the chairperson of the energy regulator. Mr. Pukula, may you please greet?
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pukula. I would like to move on to introduce the CEO of NERSA and also the member of the PGS, Miss Advocate Nomalanga Stole. Not Miss Advocate, it's Advocate Nomalanga Stole. Please greet Advocate Sitole.
Oops, sorry, Chair. Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, members, and good morning to all the members of the public that have joined us for this particular pipe gas meeting. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. I would like to move on to introduce the other member of the PGS, Ms. Precious Sibia, who is the chairperson of the Audit and Risk Committee at NERSA and also the member of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee. Ms. Sibia.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, everyone on the call, including the members of the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to also introduce another member of the Pipe Gas Subcommittee, Mr. Musovukile Mkhize, who is the member primarily responsible for the petroleum pipelines and the member of this committee. Mr. Mkhize.
Greetings to you, Chairperson, all in attendance, as well as the members of the public that are following us through the various live streaming channels. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, we are now moving on to item number 3 of the agenda, the adoption of the agenda. We have the proposed agenda. Members, any suggestions or amendments on the agenda? By show of hands, if you have any proposed amendments. If not, members, may you please raise your hands to adopt the agenda? Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Pukula. I support. Thank you, Ms. Sibia and Advocate Sitole. Thank you, members, for adopting the agenda. Item 4 deals with declaration of interest, members. There are forms that are uploaded. If you can kindly remember to complete the forms and also submit to Mr. Dlamini. But I would like to invite members to declare interests if you have any interest on the agenda items by exception, members. Otherwise, you can indicate your interest on the forms. By show of hands, members, if there's any member that has some interest to declare. If none, members, we can then move on to consider the substantive agenda items. We have number 5, the report on the monitoring of Kwande gas compliance with the approved maximum price. Please introduce the matter, and you have 2 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair, members and colleagues. This report is for the monitoring of Kwande Gas's compliance with the approved maximum price of gas for the period 1 July 2023 to 30 June 2024. Chair, on table 1 of the submission on page 4, it shows the maximum gas price of 105 cents and 105 rand and 12 cents per gigajoule that was approved by the energy regulator and for the said period. And to monitor compliance, NERSA requested Kwande to submit its customer pricing schedule and invoices, which were submitted on the 6th of November 2024. Table 2 on page 4 shows the actual price charged by Kwande gas compared to the NERSA approved maximum price. Therefore, table 2 shows that Kwande gas complied with section 21(1)(p) of the Gas Act by charging its only customer the actual price that was approved by the energy regulator. Chair, on table 4 on page 6, it shows the volumes and the actual price charged by Kwande Gas to its customer. And Chair, based on the information submitted, it is evident that the licensee has only one customer, and therefore it did not discriminate between its classes of customers. Therefore, Chair, the licensee has complied with Section 22 of the Gas Act. Chair, the recommendations are on paragraph 14 on page 7. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ngobeni. Members, any input, comments on the compliance report? Mr. Mkhize, you may go ahead.
I support the recommendation. Let me start off with that. Thanks to the presenter. But I have just one challenge. It applies to all the cases of monitoring. I think that when it comes to institutional bodies or persons consulted, it shouldn't just be the licensee only that is consulted. I think it's clients, because I take it that you just don't take things provided to you at face value. There should be some verification that is outside of the licensee itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, for that input, and I hope that it is something that they are not going to just do it now. They will continue to do it even in the future. Mr. Bukula?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I have been one of the members who has been loud around the correctness of the tables, and I want to record in this particular instance that the tables are correct, and I want to congratulate the colleagues for doing really what they've always been expected to do. I support the submission and the recommendations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bukula, for that. And I'm hoping that the colleagues will not drop the ball if they can be thorough and make sure that the committee will not go back and still correct these things going forward. Thank you very much. Advocate Sithole?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, I also support the submission, and I just want to add on what Mr. Mkhize had said in terms of all the submission relating to the monitoring of the implementation or compliance with the approved maximum price of gas that has been approved by the regulator. I think we tend to not mention all the sections, and I believe there are 3 sections that are applicable, which is 21(1)(p) and 4G, and as well as 22. So under the paragraph on applicable law or background, may I request that we enhance that particular section by adding all of the relevant provisions in the Act. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, members. I think these are just issues of improvement, and the team must make the necessary enhancements as suggested by Mr. Mkhize as well as Advocate Sithole. So members, the recommendations were already read out to the committee on paragraph 14, requesting the committee to note that Kwande Gas has complied with the price that was approved by the energy regulator and therefore complied with Section 21(1)(p), and also it did not discriminate unduly in contravention of Section 22 of the Gas Act. Members, by show of hands, if you support that decision. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Mr. Bukula, thank you. And Ms. Sibiya, I also support the recommendation. Thank you, members. Members, we now move on to item number 6, which is the report on the monitoring of SL CNG Pty Ltd's compliance with the approved maximum price. Again, this is for the period July 2023 until June 2024. Please take the report as read and please indicate the salient points of this submission.
Sorry,
Mr. Bukula, is that Mr. Bukula? Do you want to say something?
Yes, Chairperson. Right. I didn't want to delay the part of the approval, but I just wanted clarity from Advocate Sithole, because when I look at the maybe I'm even in the wrong one. the applicable law, they mention those sections. So I wanted to check which section is not mentioned in the, because there's 21, there's 4, there's 22.
Advocate Setole?
I
Chair, with your
apologize,
permission.
Chairperson.
Yes, I understand, Mr. Pukula. I'm also sorry because I thought it was a lingering hand. I'm sorry about that. Advocate
Thank you.
Setole?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, if you look at the one that we are on now, 6, if you look under paragraph 4, 4.1 to 4.4, section 22, it's not mentioned, but it's mentioned under purpose. All that I was saying that in terms of applicable laws, can we group them as well in one section as we have done? They have started with 21(1)P, they've gone on to 4G, and 22 it's not mentioned. However, it is mentioned under recommendation. It's just the packaging, Chairperson, in terms of really indicating all the relevant sections that are applicable to the pieces of legislation. They are not grouped together. Some sections are mentioned in other paragraphs and not necessarily all of them under the applicable law. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Advocate Setole. If the team can remember to mention all of the relevant sections when you deal with applicable laws, and also making sure that the purpose, what is on the purpose, as well as the recommendations, there's alignment and consistency, if you can kindly remember to do so. And please anticipate that when you introduce now item number 6, which I've already read out, SLCNG's compliance report. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman, Chair, and the members. I would like to introduce a monitoring report for SLCNG. This is a monitoring report for the period of July 2023 to June 2024, the implementation of the approved maximum price. I've taken note of all the inputs that were from the previous submission, Chair. This is to recommend that the PGS approves the monitoring report in terms of section 21(1)P that SLCNG had complied with section 21(1)P in the sense that they have charged prices that are below the approved maximum price as shown in table 2, 3, and 4, and then they also complied with section 22 of the Gas Act in that they have not unduly discriminated amongst its customers or classes of its customers, Chairperson. The recommendation are shown in paragraph 14 in 41. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenu. Members, any comments, input on this one by show of hands? Yes, Mr. Pukula.
Thank you, Chair. First is to re-emphasize the same thing, because I think I had said it in all of the. I still want to congratulate colleagues when they put in documents and that are mistake-free. In fact, it enables us to engage on other things. So I note that one of the clients who has higher volumes than all of the other clients, but the actual price is higher. And I just want to check, is it a negotiating issue? Because I have that question even in there. Is it a negotiating issue, or is there something else? Because in this one, we don't have the benefit of knowing what the terms of the contracts are, although in the other one, we have the terms of the contracts. That the first client here, the volumes that they are purchasing are 10 times the second client, but yet the pricing is not showing that. So I just need assistance in understanding what the reason would be. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Pukula. Any other member who would like to come in? Ms. Sikenu, may you please provide clarification on that customer without mentioning the name, but just what happened there, the specific facts surrounding that customer.
What's happening here?
Okay.
Thank you,
No.
Chairperson. Sorry, I'm sorry about that. I thought I've been disconnected. Yes, Chairperson, what is happening in terms of the actual prices? The actual price, the customers are grouped in terms of the classes. So the monitoring is in terms of whether they have been charged below the actual the maximum price. In terms of the actual prices, NESA does not get involved because it's the negotiating issue, as Mr. Bukula has indicated, because it's the commercial transaction between the customer and the licensee.
Mr. Kenu, I think Mr. Bukula is very clear on that, and you are not answering the question. Yes, on 21(1)P, there is no issue there. His question is not about charging above the maximum. That's not his question. His question is essentially on Section 22. He's very clear on the volumes because Section 22 delves into the actual now. Section 21 is the maximum. Now, NERSA is given the mandate on the actual, which you are now saying that we don't have the mandate. We do have the mandate only in respect of Section 22 to now check what happened on the actual. When on 21, you can't do it, but the law gives us the mandate on 22 now to check what happened on the actual. Is there undue discrimination when they were charged the actual price? Because the volumes, the law says, if you buy larger volumes, pay less. So that's the point that Mr. Bukula is saying. Now, this client has purchased more or consumed more, and the regulations are also stating that if the consumption is more, then pay less. Now, this customer is not paying less. What happened there? That's the question. Ms. Makoda, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Chairperson. I would like to assist in Ms. Genu in answering this question. Chair, in terms of the actual price that is charged to this particular customer, there are differentiating factors that the licensee considers. And given that this is a CNG customer, the distance to where the customer is contributes to the actual price that is charged to the customer. If you check on paragraph 4.15 of the submission, there is a list of differentiating features there that the licensees implement. And one of the issue with this particular customer is that even though they consume high, they are located far from the mother station, and therefore the transportation factor is the one that tends to increase the price. The issues of the length of contract does not really affect them, and also on the contract terms and the low profile. But the issue is the fact that they are located far. And then secondly, if I recall correctly, this particular customer has also asked that there should be one supply box that remains in the facility all the time, just for in cases if they run short of gas. And it is for those reasons that they now have a higher price, even though they consume a higher volume. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Makota. Mr. Bukula, are you satisfied with that response?
I'm happy, Chair. I just wanted to know what's the difference. And
yes. All right. Thank you. Thank you, members. Members, we would like to now move to paragraph 14 on the recommendations. The recommendations are that the pipe gas subcommittee is requested to note that SLCNG has complied with the approved maximum price and that it did not embark on or engage in undue discrimination in contravention of Section 22 of the Gas Act. By show of hands, members, if you agree with that recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Bukula. Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Thank you, Advocate Sitole. Thank you, Madam Sbia. I also support. Thank you, members. Members, the next agenda item is item number 7, which is the monitoring of compliance in terms of the prices that were charged by Virtual Gas Network Pty Ltd VGN for the period July 2023 until June 2024. Please take the report as read and indicate the salient points of this application.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is the report on the monitoring of virtual gas network Pty Ltd or VGN's compliance with the approved maximum price for the period 1 July 2023 until 30 June 2024. Chair, the monitoring is done in terms of Section 211P, Section 4G, and Section 22 of the Gas Act as per the input from members in the previous items. Now, Chair, to monitor VGN's compliance, the licensee was requested to provide relevant documents in the form of customer pricing schedules and invoices to enable NERSA to conduct its monitoring for the period under review. Now, Chairperson, on 26 October 2023, the energy regulator approved VGN's application for a maximum gas price as shown in Table 2. Now, Chair, due to the timing of that decision, the monitoring report for the period 1 July 2023 until 30 June 2024 is based on the previously approved maximum gas price of 298 Rand 25 cents per gigajoules, and that's for the period July 2023 until October 2023, and the approved maximum price of 299 Rand 66 cents per gigajoules for the period starting from 26 October 2023, the date of the decision. Now, Chairperson, Table 3 shows the actual prices charged by VGN to its customers for the period under review, and the prices are indeed lower than the approved maximum prices and the previously approved maximum price, as I've just stated. Therefore, Chairperson, VGN complied with Section 211P of the Gas Act. Now, Chair, the second part of the report deals with the compliance with Section 22 of the Gas Act. I would like to first draw the attention of the members to some inconsistencies in paragraphs 4.24 and 4.25. Chair, the last sentence in 4.24 is supposed to refer to paragraph 4.23D and not 6.3D. And paragraph 4.25 is supposed to refer to Table 4 and not Table 3. Chair, we apologize for the mistakes. We somehow could not keep track of the different versions of the document that were in circulation. However, Chair, we do apologize and commit to improving, Chair. Now, VGN's compliance with Section 22 of the Gas Act, Chair, licensees are generally not allowed to discriminate between customers or classes of customers unless the objectively justifiable and identifiable differences as prescribed in Section 22 of the Gas Act. Now, VGN is implementing approved differentiating factors, and those include length of contract, the number of trailers delivered per day, which are an indication of volumes consumed per day, distance from the mother station, and capital costs used to set up the supply requirements at the customer site. Sure. And furthermore, VGN also provided further justification for its differentiating factors, and those are outlined in paragraphs 4.26 and 4.27. Table 4, Chair, shows how VGN implemented these approved differentiating factors for each customer when formulating its actual prices. Now, Chair, due to the evidence and justification provided, VGN complied with Section 22 of the Gas Act when charging actual prices to its customers in the period 1 July 2023 until 30 June 2024. Chairperson, we therefore recommend the PGS approves that VGN complied with Section 211P and Section 22 of the Gas Act in the period under review, and the recommendations are on page 14 and 15. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Members, any comments on this submission? Thank you, Mr. Pukula.
Thank you, Chair. I'm glad that the presenter first noted the errors, and that's appreciated because it shows that it's not just dumped for us to find out whatever we need to find. But I also want to express the appreciation in this one. When you look at the table, I think it's table 4. The sections of Section 22 of the Act really are dealt with nicely, because you do get to see the price, and then you do get to see the other affecting factor, which is the distance to transportation and the term of the contract and the structure of the contract and as far as the volumes. So I want to say that this is a good reading. I mean, it doesn't necessitate that we are going to ask questions because all of the information is in here. So I want to congratulate the ones who compiled this and thank them for making our work easy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pukula, for that. Congratulations, Mr. Keswa. Mr. Mkis?
Thank you, Chairperson, and thanks to Kasa for the presentation. Again, I think I must echo the same sentiments as Mr. Pukula, because we read these documents sometimes at very odd hours, and it helps when the document has been well written to go through and not really find yourself struggling even to understand what is being conveyed. So appreciation for that. Or under 4.3, just want to, paragraph 4.3, I just wanted to check that Saki Kusasa, is it the right spelling and stuff? Just want to check. That's all really. Otherwise, I do support the recommendation. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Mr. Keswa, may you please respond to that last question from Mr. Mkhize for clarity?
Thank you, Chairperson. According to the information we have currently, Mr. Mkhize, that is the spelling. However, we will double check to verify and correct. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Are you happy with that response, Mr. Mkhize?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Members, I would like to take you to the recommendations on paragraph 14 and 15. The subcommittee is requested to note that VGN has complied with the maximum price that was approved by the energy regulator in terms of section 211P, and also it complied with the prices that it charged to its customers by not discriminating against them in contravention of section 22. Members, by show of hands, if you agree with that recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Pukula. Thank you, Madam Spear. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Advocate Sitole. I also support, thank you, members, for the decision. Members, I would like now to move on to item number 8 of the agenda. It is the report on the monitoring of SLG Pty Ltd's maximum price, compliance with the maximum price for the period July 2023 up until 30 June 2024. Please take the report as read, and you have 2 minutes to introduce the report, the submission.
Thank you, Chair. This is a monitoring report for SLG Pty Limited for the period July 2023 to 30 June 2024. The approved maximum price for the period is shown in Table 1. Table 1, which shows the approved maximum price. In this section, we are monitoring section 211P to ensure that prices charged to customers are not above the approved maximum price. SLCNG has complied with this. This is shown in Table 2, 3, and 4 because of quarterly adjustment. SLCNG has charged all its customers below the approved maximum price for the period. Then therefore it has complied with section 211P. And it has also complied with section 22 in that it has not unduly discriminated between its customers and classes of its customers, taking into consideration all the distinguishing features of section 22. The recommendation is on paragraph 14, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sikenu. Members, any input or comments by show of hands if you have? Thank you, Mr. Pukula. You may go ahead.
Ms. Massetti and committee members, please bear with me. I really was the one who was noisy, and I think I need to be noisy when things are fine. In this submission, if I go, for instance, on table 2, and I look at the second customer, you can see that second customer doesn't buy a lot, and yet it probably has the biggest discount. So unlike the other submission that we had, I couldn't understand that, and therefore I had to ask. So I think for me the improvement would be something, because we do talk about section 22 in the submission, just to explain that part. I mean, there are others as you go down that table. The last 2, they also, I mean, are not buying as much as one above, but there's one that has actually the lowest price. out of interest, I would like to understand how it's priced. And if there was an additional column that showed this, I probably wouldn't ask. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Bukula. Mr. Mkhize?
Thank you, Chairperson. Thanks to the presenter. Just on under 4.17, SLG determines its actual prices based on the following factors. If you can just explain it better under the swing score and the NHMD, especially what that stands for. Yes, I know 4.8 you have tried to explain that, but it did not come out that clear. If you can just enhance that particular paragraph. And then under 4.19, you say, furthermore, the Section 22 of the Gas Act provided, I think should be provides the energy regulator with an opportunity to approve other grounds of distinguishing factors. And then the next paragraph then is confusing because you're saying the differentiating factors implemented by SLG are provided for in terms of Section 22, and therefore SLG did not have to apply to the energy regulator to implement the factors identified in paragraph 4.17 A, B, and C above. I thought that there is some kind of confirmation. There's confirmation that the regulator would provide to say you can go ahead because you don't want to come after the effect. There can be a certain criteria that they use, and then only to find that maybe it's not the nature of the criteria itself, the criterion itself, but it's its application. So I think that it would be better if that paragraph those few paragraphs are clarified, because even that portion 4.20 seems to be negating that last paragraph, that last sentence, sorry, of paragraph 4.19. So it's just that enhancement. Otherwise, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Ms. Sibia?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Thank you to the presenter. Chair, just to add on what Mr. Bukula asked, because when you look at 4.17 to say SLG, how they determine the actual prices, but then when you look at the annexures, I compare the others, there is velocity. No, where is the if you look at the prices, you assume that the lower the volumes, then the price will actually be higher. But now you look at on page 7 of 11, velocity has a very low price when the volumes are low. So I just wanted that clarity from the team, if I was looking at it correctly like that, or there is another criteria that they actually they look at when they determine the price. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Sibia. Ms. Makwe?
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me start by explaining the three factors that they used. The customer charge, on this one, they are really referring to the volumes of consumption. The higher the consumption, the lower the price that is charged to the customer. The swing score, according to SLG, this is really the load factor, where they look at how the customer's consumption is going. Some customers, they are saying that there is variation in the consumption, and for that reason, they seem to want to penalize that customer by charging a higher price. And for those that have a stable consumption, they give them the benefit by then rewarding them through a lower price. And then there is the NHMD. This, according to SLG, is the capacity reserves. Now, we had a long discussion with SLG, even in the previous years, regarding this issue, because it was not clear how then they implement this, given the fact that the use of the volumes also, you will recall that there is that block mechanism that they use in determining the volumes and the charges that goes with those volumes. But what we are saying at this stage is that we note the inputs from members that perhaps we should have a table that explains the charge that goes with this, so that we are able to explain how the actual price comes. And so I want to, if possible, we can do an addendum that goes to as matters arising, that explains how these three charges are implemented in order to come to the actual price. Chair, in terms of why we are saying that they did not have to apply for these three charges, is because based on the explanation, the consumption charge is the volume profile, which is already indicated under Section 22, which NERSA does not have to approve as a separate differentiating feature. Similarly to the swing score, it is explained as a load profile and is already provided for under Section 22 of the Gas Act, and the NHMD is explained as the capacity reserves. So these three charges, they are already included as those that can implement without necessarily asking for NERSA's approval. But perhaps what we want to add is that we had a meeting with the SLG recently, and they indicated that because of the confusion that has been created by these three charges, they have then decided to discontinue with implementing these charges, because even the customers were not able to understand them. But what we are undertaking is that we will do an addendum for the PGS. It will come as part of the matters arising. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let me go back to the members and see if the members are satisfied with the response. Is given the fact that there's an undertaking from the licensee that even if we're concerned, this is not something that they will continue doing in the future. And the licensee don't own infrastructure. They only involved in the trading of gas. So the issue also of the capacity, not necessarily the demand, so that they can stimulate sales. That's the aspect of this NHMD that is not clear and not transparent, where the customers needed to get some clarity on. But also, it is based on the congestion in the pipeline, when SLG has motivated it to say that they don't want congestion in the pipeline. And our argument is that, unfortunately, that is not your duty. It is the duty of the company that is licensed to operate the gas pipeline. And in this case, it will be Transnet as well as Sasol for the KZN area, as well as the area of Gauteng. So that should not be the cost that they impose on customers. They should only impose cost relating to stimulating the sales, and also just in terms of the volumes and the load profile when customers are ramping up during the course of the year. Some of them at the beginning of the year, they don't buy that much, but at the end of the year, they will buy the entire annual volumes. But then the ramping up issue is the one that they are dealing with on the load profile during the course of the year. Hence, then they will charge the usage as well as the fact that they are not ramping up as fast as SLG would have wanted them. So those are the issues that they have identified, which are already fall within the prescribed factors that are in Section 22, of which factors are stated in the report or submission under paragraph 4.16. Members, with that additional explanation, are members having further clarity questions? By show of hands, members. Mr. Mkis?
As I said on Chairperson, I'm good with the report, provided these paragraphs I've highlighted are clarified and then in sync with what is in the table, just to synchronize that throughout. Then I think I support, subject to the enhancement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pukula.
I'm covered, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Spear.
I'm fine, Chair. Support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Advocate Stolle, are you also happy with the explanation?
Yes, Chair. Support. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, members. For transparency purposes and also to capture the undertaking made by the licensee here, and also to make sure that paragraph 416, paragraph 417, and paragraph 20 are aligned and consistent with what is contained on the tables. The team will make an enhancement in those paragraphs to ensure that there is alignment, and also the team may also just forward the annexures for information for the members. Members, having said that, I would like to take you to paragraph 14. It is recommended that the Pipe Gas Subcommittee is it approve or not approve that SLG's PTY LTDs is to note that SLG PTY LTD has complied with section 21(1)(p) of the Gas Act, as it did not charge prices that are above what was approved by NERSA, and also that it complied with section 22 as it did not unduly discriminate between its customers. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of this recommendation. Thank you. I think this number one that Miss Advocate Sibia. Thank you, not Advocate Miss Sibia. Advocate Sitole, thank you very much. Mr. Mkize and Mr. Pukula, I also support. Thank you very much, members. Members, we now move on to item number 9. Item number 9 is the report on the monitoring of NGV's National Gas Virtual PTY LTD as compliance with the approved maximum price for the period July 2023 until June 2024. Please introduce the submission.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I will take the submission as read, Chair. Before members is a report on the monitoring of NGV's compliance with the approved maximum price for the period 1st of July 2023 to 30th June 2024. Chairperson, the report is for approval by the committee, and the report aims to monitor NGV's compliance with section 21(1)(p) as well as section 22 of the Gas Act. For the monitoring of section 21(1)(p) of the Gas Act, Chair, I would like to draw members' attention to table 2 of the submission, which compares the approved maximum price to the actual prices charged by NGV to all its customers in the period under review, which is 1 July 2023 to 30 June 2024. Chair, as shown in the table, the result shows that NGV complied with section 21(1)(p) of the Gas Act by charging all its customers an actual price that's way below the approved maximum price of 360.98 per gigajoules, as well as the previously approved maximum price of 409.05 per gigajoule for the period under review. Chair, for the monitoring of compliance in terms of section 22 of the Gas Act, it indicates that NGV charged the same price to all its customers, except one customer which was charged a slightly lower actual price compared to the others. And for this particular customer, NGV provided that it has an infrastructure in place at their depot. And another justification for this price difference is that NGV also considered several differentiating factors in this case, such as capital cost requirement to establish the supply need at this particular customer site, the number of trailer tubes needed for rotation, as well as the customer's maximum drawdown demand, and so forth. And Chair, NGV applied for these differentiating factors, and they were then approved by the energy regulator. Chairperson, therefore, based on our analysis of compliance with section 22 of the Gas Act, NGV comply with section 22 of the Gas Act. The recommendation, Chair, are on page 8 of the submission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions of clarity on this or input that the members would like to make? By show of hands, members. Mr. Mkize, you may go ahead.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm happy with the document. I just wanted to comment on 4.23, paragraph 4.23. That information from the department that is provided under table 3, I think it will also help in terms of the unleaded diesel and unleaded petrol, and diesel. When you compare them to the actual price of charge for gas, if they can maybe add another column there or have it in 2, one with levies and taxes and levies included, as well as another with these taxes and levies excluded, because I think they give a more realistic picture going forward, and in terms of the competitiveness of gas in when you compare apples with apples. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkize, for that input. Let me go to Mr. Pokula.
It's a Chair, for me, 4.24. I struggled to understand what we mean there, but maybe I can be, because I can see what the percentages are, but then we say it's below the intended range of 70 to 80, but those ranges there are not there. So maybe I miss what is being explained. If I could be assisted, doesn't have to be in this meeting, but I just struggled with 4.24.
Thank you, Mr. Pukula. May we get responses from the team? Ms. Makoda?
Thank you, Chairperson. In terms of the CNG strategy, when they sell this gas for vehicles, their aim was to have a price that is 70 to 80% below the one for the alternative fuels. And so paragraph 4.24, we're trying to explain that they are achieving that, in that the price is approximately the percentage that is highlighted in yellow. So it is still within that 70 to 80% that they are trying to achieve. Just in summary, I think that is the response, Chair.
Please acknowledge the suggested enhancement made by Mr. Mkize in terms of adding the column, so that, as Mr. Mkize explained.
Yes, Chairperson, we will add the 2 columns, the one with levies and then the other one without levies. We will also circulate it as matters arising. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think Mr. Pukula has a follow-up question, and it seems the answer that you provided was not adequate. Mr. Pukula, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So can we just take so that they intended to be 70 or 80% lower, but so if we take the first one, petrol, that's not 70 or 80, and I think even in the one for diesel, you are even saying it's closer.
Yes, you are right, Mr. Pukula. I don't even want to get to that one. You are right. I was hoping Ms. Makota will correct it. We have the difference of 30. It's usually 30% and 20%, Ms. Makota. It can't be 80, 70.
Okay, we note it, Chair. We will correct it.
Mr. Pukula, if and the members of the committee, I think it's a matter of just clarifying exactly what happened there, and the compressed natural gas traders do put a natural benchmark being the price of petrol or diesel, and then when they look at the price of petrol or diesel, they want to be much more competitive. How? they will say that they will price maybe 30% lower than the price of petrol or diesel, or 20% lower than the price of petrol or diesel. So that's what the team is supposed to clarify, not 70 or 80%, but 30 or 20% lower than the price of petrol or diesel. But then also just make sure that the explanation given in 4.24 is appropriate and much clearer, Ms. Makoda. Okay. Mr. Mkhize?
No, Chairperson, I think from my side, I'm covered by way of saying that, like, if we've got 4.23, this is just the 4.24. Then it's a narrative in terms of what is the targeted range. And you are right. I think it should be, it then becomes 70 or 80% of the price, not lower than the price. So I think they must just correct this. Enhance this paragraph here to say exactly what is meant, and as well as saying that I think it would also help to have that comparison also after you have removed the rates and taxes for the other, so to compare apples with apples. But with that enhancement, then I'll be happy to support the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, I hope that Mr. Pukula, you are happy also with the explanation I provided and the fact that the team, in the way that they articulate it under paragraph 4.24, they must reflect exactly that. And Mr. Mkhize also put some nice words there for the team in reference to the 70 or 80%. Thank you very much, members. Members, I would like to take you to the recommendation. The recommendations and they are subject to the enhancements proposed by Mr. Mkhize, and also the changes on paragraph 4.24. The Pipe Gas Subcommittee is requested to note that NGV has complied with section 21(1)P because it has not charged a price that is above what was approved by NERSA, and secondly, that NGV has complied with section 22 of the Gas Act, as it did not engage in undue price discrimination. By a show of hands, members, if you support this recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Pukula. I also support. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, Madam Spear. Mr. Mkhize, happy to support. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you very much, members. We now move on to the next submission. The next submission is a final report on the strategy for a gas, renewable energy and hydrogen partnership in South Africa. This is agenda item number 10. Ms. Khoza, if you may please give a little bit of background, context, and then also what this report seeks to do.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, members, once again, and colleagues. Chairperson, this is the final report concerning the development of the strategy for a gas, renewable energy and hydrogen partnership in South Africa. I will take the report as read, but would highlight the following key issues, including the background that you've just asked us to touch on. The project commenced in 2022 at the request of the PGS. The division here was asked to develop the strategy with the primary objective to address the issues of security of gas supply in the country and to establish how gas can be appropriately positioned to further gas market development alongside renewable energy and hydrogen development. It was a very broad context, this project. It had a broad scope, let me put it that way. So in summary, Chairperson, the process that we have followed to execute this project is outlined in paragraph 4.4, however, of the cover submission. However, I can confirm what you've mentioned earlier on, that the progress reports on the matter have served in this subcommittee twice. The first report, it was this general stakeholder consultation paper that we published in December 2022 to solicit stakeholder views on the issues that we wanted to address in the strategy. And that consultation paper was approved. We even had a feedback report that also served at the PGS of 12 March 2022 as part of the preliminary report concerning the development of the strategy. So it's not a new issue per se. It has been discussed by the members twice since the commencement of the project. And then this final report, Chairperson, in Annex 1, it presents the strategy outlining NERSA's perspective on how gas can be appropriately positioned to play a significant role in the energy economy amid rising renewable energy integration and hydrogen development. And this also includes or addresses the issues of security of gas supply in the country. We basically in the strategy setting a vision to create a more efficient, effective and competitive and evolving industry that can contribute to South Africa's energy sector goals, including the diversification of energy sources, ensuring secure and sustainable energy supply and climate change mitigations. In terms of the approach, how we structured the strategy, Chairperson, we have taken, we are focusing on two areas, basically. The first part is, which is the primary focus. The strategy seeks to respond to the core gas industry issues, which is the gas supply and infrastructure needs. And we are also highlighting the policy and regulatory interventions that we believe will be key to addressing those challenges and supporting further development in the industry. And the second leg or second part of the strategy is aiming at addressing how the existing synergies among gas, hydrogen and renewable energy can be exploited to achieve a coordinated development of these energy sources across various energy markets. And obviously this will contribute to energy diversification and security, as well as contributing to the climate change goals. And then the strategy, in terms of how we have framed it, it's actually framed within three defined periods, and also that we and also set strategic objectives that we believe should be achieved in the short term, which is defined as 2025 to 2035, medium term 2035 to 2050, and the long term we're looking at beyond 2050. And there is a rationale why we actually decided to segment the planning period of the strategy like this. We provide that rationale in the report itself. And then what we do here as well, we also include like a comprehensive list of actions that are mostly policy and regulatory driven, while others will require some sort of multi-stakeholder strategic partnerships, coordination, as well as research and innovation. These actions are basically the practical steps that we decided to define so that we can, so that the goal set for the strategy can be achieved. The key things that we would like the PGS to consider in the strategy document is the proposed gas sector roadmap to 2050, which is in section 9.3 of the report of Annex 1. This is from page 118 to 123. In this roadmap, Chairperson will lay out the sequence of measures covering 5 key areas: the gas supply sources, the gas infrastructure, the gas demand or priority markets that should be targeted for gas, or to drive the demand for gas. We also look at the strategic policy and regulatory interventions, as I have mentioned before. And these are the issues that we believe are critical to address the existing core gas sector challenges. And then under each area, we recommend those specific actions and structure them as short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals, as I have mentioned before. And then if you take, for example, the issue of gas supply sources and infrastructure, we have recommended various gas supply options that we believe should be prioritized over the short-term, medium-term, and long-term periods. The gas supply options that have been considered there is the expansion of the gas supply from Mozambique. We're also looking at LNG supply via the various South African ports. This LNG supply should come from the regional and international market. We also look at the issue of offshore indigenous gas, the onshore indigenous gas, and we also have another category of other options. These are the projects that, yes, there was potential on them before when they were first introduced to the industrial market. But however, there's a lot of uncertainty around it. In some instances, like the cow power ship projects, the department is already regarding them as dead and buried. We also look at touch on that category. We also touch on the issue of the shale gas, what needs to happen there. It is a potential, but a lot of policies have to be put in place to actually address those concerns around shale gas, and especially if you look at what the shale gas has achieved for the American market. And then obviously there's this issue of biogas production that we also touch on. There are limitations there, but the potential is there if appropriate measures can be put in place. So basically these are the 5 categories of the gas supply options that we considered. And then what we did with the supply options here, Chairperson, we conducted a comparative analysis of these options and prioritized them in the roadmap using various factors, including looking at issues like the location of the supply, the timeframes, the volume of supply, the infrastructure requirements and cost. We also look at the potential gas price, because this is very key for the development of those projects and for that gas to be whether the price will be acceptable to the market. And we also look at the issue of the risks and challenges for the associated projects. We did this. We didn't do this work alone. It was with the help of the consultants, which contributed greatly on the recommendations that we have made in the roadmap. The key messages that we are seeking to drive here regarding the security of supply and the prioritization of the gas supply options is that gas supply will have to come from various sources. LNG imports from the regional and international markets, the onshore and offshore indigenous gas, and pipeline gas from the region. However, this will have to it will change over time along the planning horizon is presented in the roadmap. And then we see LNG as having a significant role to play to improve the security of supply in the country, fill the supply gap, and assist the country to diversify its gas supply sources and sourcing options rather in the short term to medium term. And then the development of new LNG import facilities, it's a must if we want to enable or support enable the LNG intake. And then obviously the issue of while we are making all that emphasis on LNG importation for as a solution for a short term to medium term, we are also advocating that South Africa should not lose sight of the socio-economic benefits that the development of indigenous gas resources may bring to the country in the long term. So we're basically looking at this as a medium-term to long-term option because of the challenges that are there in the upstream sector that needs to be addressed, particularly around the issue of the legislative framework. We know the Upstream Petroleum Resource Bill, Development Bill, it was approved by Parliament, but it's yet to be enacted into law. And this happened in November 2023, but still it is not law yet. So all these delays, they are actually adding and putting us uncertainty around this gas supply option, indigenous gas resources as a potential supply option. So that's why we're looking at it as a medium to long-term solution until all these issues are addressed. Obviously, government commitment to creating that enabling environment for upstream gas projects to succeed will be critical, and particularly when it comes to the environmental issues. We've seen the environmental authorization being cancelled, and some are being challenged in court. So it's a very sensitive matter that needs to be handled carefully by the department, or not necessarily the department, by the government itself. And then this is the first part of the roadmap. And then on the second part, we proposed an integrated roadmap to 2050, which is in section 10.4 of the report. Here we outline the approaches and estimated timelines that we believe are necessary to achieve the gas, renewable energy and hydrogen integration that this project seeks to address. And then this also included the potential for the development of renewable gases, which is your biogas and your biomethane, as potential substitute for gas. We're looking at this as a long-term view, because when we were doing the stakeholder consultations and our own research, when you look at the biogas potential, the potential is there. However, that industry is also it at its infancy, and there are sort of policy and regulatory issues that also need to be addressed. We don't believe that it can be addressed now. It has to be a process, and probably in the long term, we can look at this as a viable option. And then also another issue for the members to note is the comprehensive strategy implementation and monitoring framework in section 11.2 of the report, which sort of assigns specific responsibilities, indicative timelines, and measurable outputs. Here, we actually believe that we don't want the document just to sit there, but there has to be all the recommendations that we are making there. We need to sort of engage with the respective departments and other stakeholders to make sure that there is at least some work or progress around these issues. And then the last part, Chairperson, that we want the members to note is the summary of the key conclusions and recommendations in section 12 of the report. And in terms of the recommendations, we are requesting the PGS to approve the strategy document, approve that the report be published on the NERSA website and submitted to the Department of Electricity and Energy and other relevant stakeholders as part of our regulatory advocacy and engagement plan. We also recommend that the report be submitted to the energy regulator for noting, as it addresses, among others, critical issues of gas supply that have become a key concern for the industry and NERSA. Chairperson, at this point, I need to mention that in terms of authority, the reason for the recommendation number 3 is because the authority is actually limiting these kinds of reports to only be approved by the PGS. But we just sort of thought that this issue of security of gas supply has been in discussions even at ER. So maybe it would be best that report also be shared with the members, the ER members, so that they know that this is how NERSA views the way forward on the issue of the gas supply country. And then I just also need to mention that the report has since been edited by the language editors. We have mentioned in the cover submission that it was submitted for language editing. We have received feedback, incorporated it, and the clean version was shared with the committee secretary yesterday. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much for that comprehensive introduction. And members, if they can also weigh in just in terms of the chronology of the, in terms of the way forward for taking this report further. I was under the impression that it will be approved by the ER, but unfortunately the delegated authority says that the committee can approve, but it will still go to the ER because I believe that it will be important for it to go to the ER and for the ER then to also approve that it be shared with the departments, the relevant departments. So I would like the members to also weigh in terms of advising how we can take the report forward. By show of hands, members, if you have any questions, input, guidance, or areas of improvements. Okay, Advocate Sithole.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thanks to the presenter. It's for a well-written a report. Chair, I just wanted to check two things that seek clarity. It's in relation to the gas master plan, and as far as I recall, it is still a draft. But I think the presenter can confirm if it has been now finalized and that it is sufficiently covered in the strategy. And the second one was also related to a master plan, but this one is at the regional level. I do know that SADC was drafting a regional gas master plan, and I just want to check if that master plan has been finalized, and if so, have we taken it into account in this particular report. I believe that regional master plan, it's important in that it will facilitate cross-border trade and as well as the integration that has also been mentioned in the submission with other SADC countries. So those are the 2 points on the master plans. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Advocate Sithole. Mr. Mkhize.
Thanks, Chairperson, and thanks, Madam Khoza, for the report. Much appreciated. I think from my side, I would not vouch for the publishing prior to consultation, especially with the policymaker, because the document does contain a lot of recommendation, or what would be deemed to be recommendations to the policymaker. Hence, from my side, I would still say that maybe let's sequence it in that manner. The other thing I just want to highlight is on this. I think it's page 27, just above the subparagraph on gas imports, or the subsection on gas imports. The phasing out of MRG, the methane-rich gas. If maybe they can get more certainty around that, because you've got gas coming from Mozambique, going to go to find itself in having a gas cliff, and then you have that gas which was feeding into the Secunda plant no longer coming in. Then the question is, what's going to then come in to then allow less use of coal, which will then result in less MRG, the town gas, being sent out. I think just that is important. The other issue just want to raise is the issue of, which you have articulated well, is one around the availability of the gas, because sometimes with gas and oil, for example, there's this challenge that you, even in your efforts to promote something that you don't necessarily domestically produce or generate, it becomes a very testing issue. So that must be, those efforts need to be very much highlighted, as well as the synchronization and sequencing of policy, legislation, and other regulatory instruments. There's a talk of a gas bill there, then it stops, then you've got a camp, then it stops, then you've got the regional one and all of that. That is why even in the case of Advocate Chole, when you're talking of that regional, I will still say that sometimes when one sits and waits for regional action to be executed, you might find yourself lagging behind instead of just proceeding on your side with due regard of the latest in respect of that particular document. But you just make sure that you run full steam ahead, such that your inputs can even help the region, instead maybe of the other way around. And then the other issue that I've heard is that this whole issue of, I think it's on page, just the last one, on page 15. On page 15, you're talking of gas replacing coal and oil in terms of switching. I think from my side, we are faced with a supply crunch by and large. And then our focus should be more on growing. That is, in other words, because the policy already talks to the energy mix, spreading the mix instead of removing the pieces of the one piece of a puzzle and replacing it with another, and also causing debates that actually do not help much. There would be another lobby that would come in and say no to gas, it should be renewable energy all the way, and we engage in all those things, which I think they kind of divert our attention in terms of dealing with the supply crunch. So the use of spreading, because every gas energy resources got this space under the sun in terms when one looks at the energy mix. I think we should be leaning more towards that than actually removing one and putting the other. I think the same we've seen with what happened with the coal-fired power stations with regard to replacing them with renewable energy. So we need to be able to look at those things in that context. I think that land will kind of help us. I'll stop there, Chairperson, but the report remains appreciated and supported. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Khoza, may you please, I think some of them is just points of enhancements from the members. Is there any specific clarification that you would like to provide, especially the two questions from Advocate Sithole?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Our plan with this strategy was that we should actually, from the onset, we should not deviate from published government policies as much as possible. And we, in this case of the gas master plan, we relied heavily on the draft and also taken obviously the comments that we have submitted to the Department of the Gas Master Plan in a way of sort of like trying to assist them to show them how they can improve on the gas master plan. So yes, it was taken into consideration and incorporated in the report. And also, we are correct, CEO, the draft. They're still reworking on it. As the minutes did indicate at some point that there's a lot of work that needs to be. They're basically doing a total overhaul of that gas master plan, so it's not yet finalized. And then on the regional regional gas master plan, yes, it was finalized, and we have also looked at this. And then on Annexure B of the report, we touch on the key aspects that sort of two projects basically that affects the South African market, because they have projects from Namibia, for instance, that can be built or developed in Namibia and targeting South Africa as a market, as well as the Mozambican one, also targeting South Africa in the market. We have incorporated all that information in the report. I hope I have addressed those questions, Chairperson. And then we will take Mr. Mkhize's, you will direct us, Chairperson, in terms of the sequencing of the recommendations, whether we consult or before publishing. We will take the cue from you and the committee. And then on the issue of phasing out MRG, as stated in that page, we have relied a lot on the publicly available documents, particularly from the Sasol Space side. And then the phasing out of MRG is part of their internal climate change strategy. But if there's some sort of elaboration that we need to do on that, we will do so and enhance the report. And then we also appreciate the comments around the careful consideration that we need to take when we're discussing the issue of replacing one fuel over with another. And there, Chairperson, what we have done in the report, we have provided what the developments that are happening around this issue of gas supply and it being a potential transition fuel that can displace liquid oil or coal. We provided that in the global context. That's where the discussions are going. However, when you look at the strategy, how we framed it, we are not really advocating for that. So we take that, Mr. Mkhize, and we are. I can confirm that we are aligned with your views on that. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much, members. We've taken a little bit of time on this one so that there's an adequate clarification on what needs to happen. Members, just the things that I think members need to apply their minds on, I think is on the sequencing, and we'll deal with that under the recommendations, members. And I think in terms of the changes in the report, Ms. Khoza, if you can kindly deal with that section says that there must be replacement of coal and oil. If you can kindly make sure that, because we are one regulator, so if we can take that input from Mr. Mkhize, which says that the policy promotes energy mix, and therefore for security of supply, all of these technologies are needed, and at least we take cue from the policy, and therefore we can just remove anything that talks about replacement of coal and oil by gas. I think we can just look into the future energy systems that entail those, for as long as we have the policy that still accommodates those energy sources. So if we can kindly, just in terms of the changes, if you can kindly make that change. Members, I would like now to go to the recommendations, and subject to the change and also clarification on the MRG, then go to the recommendations. Members, I will take the recommendations one by one, just so that I can get the benefit of knowing whether the members agree with the specific recommendations. The first recommendation is that the Pipe Gas Subcommittee is requested to approve the report on the gas strategy, renewables, and hydrogen gas. I think the approval part in line with the delegated authority. By show of hands, members, on that specific one. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you,
subject to those enhancements. Thank you.
Of course, yes. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Bugula, Advocate Stole, Madam Sbia. I also support. The second one is that the Pipe Gas Subcommittee recommends to the energy regulator to note the report and approve that the report be shared with the departments. Are members agreeable to this recommendation? Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Bugula. I support. Advocate Stole, do you support?
Yeah, I would want to support, but I need to get an understanding as to what stage do we then get stakeholders' input in. Because if I look at 4.2, it deals with the publication on the website. So I wasn't too sure whether it's for comments or not. So I'm just, I do not have a problem with submission to the energy regulator, but do we submit before getting stakeholder comments or what? I think for me, it's the sequencing that you've been highlighting that is important to be clarified, Chairful. Thanks.
Thank you, Advocate Sithole. You'll recall that this final report is the culmination of the engagement with various stakeholders. So now that we've come with some findings and some recommendations, we think that it will be proper that we show the department, maybe the chairperson of the energy regulator, obviously, to then write to the minister so that they don't just get to know about this report somewhere, but at least so that the report is submitted. And then we can then take some of the recommendations coming out of this report, maybe for further action actually with various stakeholders to see if these are things that they believe are achievable and can be done. So I think the consultation will come after. I was just reading the second recommendation, taking the cue from members that said, let's first take the report to the departments, to the minister, before we publish the report. So I'll come to that, Advocate Sithole, if you are comfortable with that.
Okay. Yes,
All
with
right.
that explanation, with that repetition of the explanation, Chair, and I'm familiar that I support the second recommendation.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. And let me go to Madam Sbia. You didn't raise your hand, Madam Sbia. Would you want to make a suggestion? Or you want something to enhance or guide?
I'm fine, Chair. Sorry.
You support
Yes,
the second recommendation. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, members. Then I'm going to the third recommendation. The third recommendation is to request that the report following the noting by the ER that the report be published after consultation or after sharing the report with the minister by the chairperson of the energy regulator. The report be published, but after consultation with the department or sharing the report with the minister. Members, I would like to find out which part will be acceptable. Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, for supporting. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, Mr. Pugula. Thank you, Madam Spear. I also support. So those are the recommendations, members, and I would like now to step off this agenda item. I'm hoping that we will try to pick up the speed again when we now move on to the next submission. We are on item 11 of the agenda, which is the application for the registration of Woodlands Dairy Pty Ltd's biogas production activities in terms of Section 28 of the Gas Act. Please take the report as read and indicate whether there's compliance with all of the relevant sections of the regulations, the rules, and the Gas Act.
Chairperson. Good morning to the members and good morning to the colleagues.
Sorry, we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. Mr. Manuka. Mr. Manuka, we cannot hear you. You must position yourself properly so that members can hear you as well as the members of the public. Yes. If then we still have a challenge, we will then make sure that now the executive manager as well as the HOD must take over so that we don't waste the committee's time.
Hello, Chairperson, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Try to project your voice so that we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Good morning once again, Chairperson. Good morning to the members. Good morning to your colleagues. The purpose of this submission is to request Pipe Gas Subcommittee to approve Woodlands Dairy Pty Limited for registration of an operation for production of biogas in human stock area of Kucha local municipality in the Eastern Cape province. Before I continue with the presentation, I'd like to bring members' attention to the following minor errors. Paragraph 5.5, there is a word there, the phrase that says feeding and dissolved organic, and a word there is not supposed to be there. And another paragraph, maybe I'm mixing the paragraphs around. 5.5, correction of methane, which is 60%, is supposed to be 71% of methane, which is consistent to paragraph 6.6. Now, Woodlands Dairy application is made in terms of Section 28 of the Gas Act. The applicant's activities include feeding of dissolved organic waste material from milk processing, pasteurizing, cheese making, and valuable products, which are fed into the anaerobic digester to produce a biogas. Biogas produced consists of methane, which, as I stated, is at 71% percentage of methane. So Woodland Dairy has also provided planned gas production quantities. The application, it meets the requirement for registration in terms of Section 28. It is therefore recommended for the subcommittee to approve Woodlands Dairy Pty Limited registration for operation of production of biogas in the human stock area of Kucha local municipality in the Eastern Cape. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maluka. Members, any comments, input on this application? By show of hands, members. Okay. If members don't have input, I would like to take members to the recommendations. The recommendations are on paragraph. Mr. Mkhize, please go ahead with the question.
Yeah, it's not necessarily related to the application at hand per se. I'm supportive of the application. I just would like to understand, maybe we still have those reports that talks to, they're still gonna come, that talk to the tracking, the monitoring and enforcement around these Schedule 2 or these registrations of biogas facilities. Just want to get under.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mkhize. May you respond to that question, Mr. Milatu? Very quickly.
Yes, to answer Mr. Mkhize, yes, we are doing the tracking, Mr. Mkhize. I think before the end of the financial year, there is a report that will be prepared that talks to all the registered facilities and the status of their operation or non-operation, Chair. Thanks.
Okay, and also include the annual, as in terms of the rules, the annual production quantities that they have achieved, and the contributions, if there's any positive contributions in terms of the energy requirements. Okay. All right, if you can do that, Mr. Mkhize, I'm hoping that you are happy with the response.
I'm covered. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, members, I would like to take you to recommendation number 14. It is recommended that the Pipe Gas Subcommittee approves the registration of an operation of production of biogas by Woodlands Pty Ltd, which has its facilities in Humansdorp area of Koga local municipality in the Eastern Cape. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of this, including the reasons for decision. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, Mr. Bukula, Madam Sbiya, and Advocate Sitola. I also support. Thank you very much, members. Members, I do know that today we have another meeting, and we're also traveling to Durban for the electricity public hearings, and without rushing members, if we can also just keep that in mind. All right. We are now moving on, members, to item number 12, preliminary assessment of Novo Energy's application for a maximum gas price for the period May 2024 until April 2025. If you can also touch on the challenges as you are we're trying to assist this licensee to getting the right application, and hence then it has applied late for NERSA to consider its application. Please take the matter as read, but do emphasize on that.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson. Before members is a preliminary assessment of Novo Energy's application for a maximum gas price for the period 1 May 2024 to 30 April 2025. Chair, Novo is applying for a maximum gas price of 314 Rand, 47 per gigajoule for the period under review. And this application is based on the cost plus methodology, which was approved by the energy regulator. Chair, Table 1 provide a sort of a summary of calculations presented by Novo Energy in its application for its maximum gas price. I would like to quickly draw members' attention to Table 2 of the submission, which provides a breakdown of the trading cost calculation according to Novo Energy, as well as NERSA's calculation. And then, Chair, it must be noted that they are unrecovered historical operating expenses that Novo Energy is still recovering as per the energy regulator's decision of 2022. And these are guided by the RLM volume 3. These will still be recovered annually until the 2026 tariff cycle. Chair, on the trading cost, the overall difference between Novo as well as NERSA calculation is 0.59%. And Chair, this is due to the following. The first one is operating expenses. NERSA, in its preliminary assessment of the operating expenses for Novo, disallowed the funding cost, which was included, since this is included as part of the return calculation. And Chair, including this cost may result in double counting. So the regulator disallowed this cost. And next, and another And networking capital was also another factor that's attributed to the difference. NERSA on this one resorted to tariff guidelines, and the operating expenses used by NERSA to calculate the operating cash exclude the funding cost, which also attributed to the difference. Also, there was a slight difference in work share. The difference stemmed from MRP as well as risk-free rate calculations. NERSA used the most recent data available. And lastly, Chairperson, there was also a difference in taxation. The difference arises from work as well as networking capital calculations. Chair, I'd like to draw members' attention to Table 3 of the submission, which compares Novo Energy as well as NERSA's calculation of the maximum gas price for the review period. As we can see, the overall difference translates to 0.11%, which is below the NERSA threshold of 10%. And Chair, to be consistent with the energy regulator's previous decision, we preliminarily accept Novo's Energy's maximum gas price application for the period 1st of May 2024 to 30 April 2025. Chairperson, the recommendations are on page 7 of the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, if you have any questions of clarity or some areas of enhancements, you may please raise your hand. Members are happy with the recommendations on page. Give me the page again, so I can go. Page 7.
Yes.
All right. The members of the subcommittee requested to note the preliminary assessment on the application by Novo Energy for the maximum gas price, and members are then requested to approve that the discussion document be published for stakeholder comments. Are members happy to support the recommendations? Thank you, Madam Spear. Thank you, Mr. Pukula. Thank you, Advocate Stolle. I also support. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you very much, members. We step off this agenda item and proceed to the next submission, which is item number 13 of the agenda, Geographic Information Systems Progress Report on the status of the licensed gas network. Please take, Madam Spear, is it a lingering hand? It seems it's a lingering hand. Okay. All right. If you can kindly deal with the significance of this report, the scope of what this report has done or focused on, and also it's the significance of it in terms of its contribution, the positive contribution for the infrastructure that is licensed by NERSA. Please deal with it in that manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning. The purpose of the report is to appraise management and members of the board with the status of the regulated assets. That is done through analysis of the data that is recorded on the Geographic Information System. Well, we're currently still having over 450 active customers that are connected to the piped gas network in different geographic areas, and that is actually very minimal difference compared to what it was exactly this time of the year last year. So that means there isn't a lot of customers either exiting the piped gas market or entering the piped gas market. I guess or believe that the potential piped gas consumers are still monitoring how the possible gas supply cliff will be mitigated. That is why we are not seeing a lot of new entrants coming in. So that is where we are currently in terms of the active consumers that are connected to piped gas. And also with regards to LNG as well. For this financial year, we haven't, or NERSA have not processed any new license application to import LNG. We are still with the 4 potential importers that are listed on table 3. And with registration, if we also analyze the registration information that we have, there is still also not a lot of difference, but there is 2 new possible importers of natural gas that have been registered, but they are not yet trading or operating. So the report also covers the gas incidents that have occurred over the regulated assets or network. And then there's just a minor error. It's not minor, but there's an error on paragraph 6.18 where we are saying the gas incidents, the 2 gas incidents that occurred in Pretoria West have occurred within a space of 2 years. It's actually 4 years because the other incident occurred in 2020 and the other incident in Pretoria West occurred in 2024. Chairperson, I think I will leave it at that, or I will end it there and take the report as been read.
Thank you very much. Let me open it up to the members for comments, clarification, and perhaps some suggestions for future reports, what they should entail if members have some suggestions. By show of hands, members. Mr. Mkize, you may go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. The report is highly appreciated. Thanks, Madam Deputy. But from my side, I think of importance is the team to demonstrate the usefulness and application of the GIS in the normal course of business. You know, as we are busy with the assessments, also busy with the whether it's tariffs or licensing, we need to show the role played by GIS. Also, when there were incidents like you recall what happened in Johannesburg with the fire. I think there was a second one. There was the first one that happened right downtown, and then there were questions raised, and I think it took time for us to come through in terms of saying no, there's not a gas pipeline. I think such would assist, and also for us to get to discuss with the policymaker with regard to the special development around the gas and energy infrastructure in general. So for me, it's the same with RRMs in terms of the information that comes through. The of importance to see how we transform this data, and then it is information, and then build intelligence on it. That will be key, and therefore I think somewhere in dealing with the assessments, the issue of the role played by this GIS tool should come through, because it is a system that seeks to help. It is not for its own sake, but for the sake of assisting us in the business of regulation. Thank you. I support the recommendation. I note the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Advocate Sithole.
Thanks, Chairperson, and thanks to the presenter. Mine is just a point of clarity, particularly on page 13 to 14, and it's in relation to the registrants. I'm not sure whether we are trying to say that the registrants are included in the GIS mapping or not. Maybe that can be clarified for me. I would appreciate it. If not, can we get an indication as to when this will be done? Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Advocate Sithole. May you please respond, Ms. Ndebele, very briefly, but straight to the point. You're on mute.
Thank you, Chairperson. And Advocate. The registrants are mapped on the system. If you look at figure 3, there is actually a figure that is depicting the geographic distribution of registered facilities, and as well as on figure 6 on page 14, there is actually another heat map there showing volumes that are registered per province. So they are indeed mapped in the system.
All right, thank you very much. So the production, what is it, facilities, but also the transmission pipelines, as mentioned in what is it, is it section 28 of the Gas Act? If that can also be included as part of that, it would be appreciated. Members, I would like to take you to the recommendations. The recommendations are that members of the subcommittee are requested to note, is it to approve the progress, to note the progress report on the status of the licensed gas network. By show of hands, members. Thank you, Advocate Sithole, Madam Spear, Mr. Mkhize. I also support. Mr. Bukula has been excused at 11. He has another commitment. Thank you, members. Members will now move on to item number 14. It is the volume balance report for October 2024. Please take it as read.
Thank you, Chairperson. The purpose of the submission is to request Pipe Gas Subcommittee to note Social Gas Volume Balance Report for the month of October 2024. During the month of October, Social Gas imported approximately 13.4 million gigajoules of natural gas to South African markets. The variance percentage for October is negative 0.134%, which is within the acceptable limit of the international benchmark of 1%. It is therefore recommended the Pipe Gas Subcommittee to note Social Gas Volume Balance Report for the Social Gas Volume Balance Report for the month of October. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Members, any input, any comments for clarification on the volume balance report? If none, members, I would like to take you to the recommendations. The Pipe Gas Subcommittee is requested to note the volume balance report for the month of October 2024 by show of hands, members. Thank you, Madam Spear. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. I also support it. Thank you very much, members, for the decision. We now move on to item number 15 of the agenda, which is the final assessment of Kwande Gas Pty Ltd's application for a maximum price of gas for the period July 2024 until June 2025. The subcommittee in terms of this one is requested to recommend to the energy regulator the approval of Kwande maximum gas price. Please take it as read and clarify the important points of this submission.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair, members and colleagues. This report is for the final assessment of Kwande Gas's application for a maximum price of gas for the period 1 July 2024 to 30 June 2025. Chair, I'd just like to bring to the attention of members a few corrections on paragraph 6.33 of the RFD. We have mentioned there that the difference in the trading cost is 4%, but the correct number should be minus 2.41%. And then, Chair, we also would like to mention that on table 7 of the submission that there is some inconsistencies in the number separator. Some of the numbers we have separated them using a point and others with a comma. We will correct that, Chair, going forward. Chair, Kwande Gas is applying for a maximum gas price for the period 1 July 2024 to 30 June 2025. The calculation of the maximum price is then therefore only for the period 1 July 2024 to 31 December 2024. as the maximum price will be adjusted on the 1st of January 2025 based on the US production price index and the US dollar rand exchange rate. Table 1, Chair, on page 3 provides a summary of the application. Chair, Table 5 on page 5 of the report shows the difference in the calculation between Kwande and NERSA. And then Table 6 on page 5 shows the forecasted maximum gas price for the period January 2025 to 30 June 2025, as the maximum gas price will be adjusted on the 1st of January 2025 and based on the US PPI until 30 June 2025. Chair, the overall difference between Kwande and NERSA's calculation amounts to minus 0.69% as shown in Table 5 and minus 1.17% as shown on Table 6. The overall difference, Chair, is as a result of the trading costs and the profit component. Chair, in brief, the trading cost calculation differences can be attributed to the working capital calculation as NERSA applied the tariff guideline to determine the working capital amount, as well as the clawback Kwande omitted the depreciation as indicated in the approved allowable revenue for trading costs in the RFD for FY23. The other attributable difference is the work, Chair, as the end date used by Kwande for the market risk premium was January 2024, whilst NERSA used the end date of December 2023. Chair, our calculation for the maximum gas price of, or NERSA's calculation of the maximum gas price of gas is 128 Rand and 40 cents per gigajoule compared to the applicant's calculation of 127 Rand and 52 cents per gigajoule. The overall difference, Chair, is minus 0.69% and can be considered as acceptable, Chair. Chair, the recommendations are on paragraph 14 on page 8. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for the introduction. Members, any questions, clarifications sought from the team? By show of hands, members, if you have. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. You may go ahead.
Thanks, Chairperson. I just would like to understand here on page 4.4, paragraph 4.4, sorry. You know, you see the, because it's that part is confidential, but as you can see the last paragraph, which deals with the period that we are looking at, and then if you now got the period coming to the end that we are sure of in terms of what the price is, that is now the actual cost of gas, then one is left with the question of what then is the latest cost estimate being forecasted going forward. I think that can be refined a bit, because for all intents and purposes, the period that we're in is coming to the end in terms of us reaching December now. And I think that under table 1, the items can be left as they are, and then the figures are the ones that are actually kept confidential. And then on the other one is the under 4.6, where it says that it sells all its gas to a reseller. And I just would like to know, what kind of value add is there? Or it's just a question of this seller selling. Just wanted to know if there's any other value add associated with that. And then on table 3, I would just like to know if you haven't established the reason for the sharp decline in UGI's profitability in 2023. And because you need to also look carefully at that, whether is it time now to remove it altogether and find something else or another entity to use as a proxy there, instead of just using this UGI. And then under 4.9, my understanding is that based on the tables, that figure there remains confidential. And therefore, it should be blanked off to indicate that it is highlighted and with a strike through to indicate that it is confidential. Other than that, Chairperson, with the understanding that the team has gone through a fine comb in terms of removing any double dipping, I would then be supportive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. May you please respond to the questions there from Mr. Mkhize, like questions of clarity and the figures on the table?
Thank you, Chair. I think maybe I'll start with the issue around the UGI and the profit margin and the dip. We haven't really, Chair, investigated the reason behind the decline in the UGI profit margin. However, in the revised benchmarks for our EBITDA margin, we have investigated the need to change some of these companies, whether they are still relevant or not. However, we have still maintained that these companies still best reflect the profit margin of our licensees. And in addition to that, licensees are also given the option to select companies which best represent the operations of their trading business. So Kwandekes in this instance, Chair, has also felt it sufficient to also maintain UGI in the calculation. However, Chair, we will maybe add in our final submission the reason behind why UGI's profit margin has declined. Chair, and I think we will take the other points for enhancement, especially like, for instance, on table 1, where the numbers need to be kept confidential, and as well on paragraph 4.9, the trading cost, I think there needs to be highlighted as well, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And now I would like, if members are happy with that clarification, Mr. Mkhize, I would like to then go to the recommendations. The recommendations are that Mr. Mkhize, please go ahead.
Chairperson, I'm not seeking to delay your meeting, but actually, I'm not very much comfortable with the figure, with what is in table 3. It's either maybe look at that average being up to the 2022, because if a number is actually very much absurd, I think there stands to reason not to include it, or because it distorts everything. I just don't understand that portion. Maybe it's me that has not done the calculations accordingly. Just because it should be clear as to what happens, whether this one has been excluded. They should explicitly state that. Yeah, I think for me it's just something is not right.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Ms. Makota, can you please respond to the member on the question raised by the member properly and adequately? Can you please deal with this? And remember, these are things that are in the methodology. So it would not be easy to just take them out, but you must justify where something is reasonable or it is not reasonable, and point the member to the right information.
When I look at UGI, it seems like that company has closed down, but I was trying to check on the corrections. I don't know if other members of the GPT can just quickly check for us. But that profit component, it does seem like there is something going on. And I recall that there was a company that was closed down, which is why we needed to do a discussion document to replace some of these companies. If I can just ask Stanley if he's here to just check quickly on the spreadsheet.
But before he can do that, but what the issue here is that, remember, for purposes of the profit, we do a competitive benchmark, and that is the purpose of Table 3, simply seeking for a competitive profit level, not profits that are excessive. So that's the purpose of Table 3. So now you need to zoom into the concern of the member regarding the declining profitability. Now, you might not have the specific details of this company with regards to why its profitability level is coming down. But when you do the weighted average, and then you arrive at the figure of 31%, is that too far even from the ones that we previously approved when we used this? Is it too far for purposes of allowing the 31% to be included in the maximum price? All you need to check is then the 31%, is it a reasonable profit margin that we can allow Kwande to recover? That is the main thing for purposes of the application. And by answering that, whether it's reasonable, you need to also pay attention to the similar companies where we approved the profit margin. And you must have that information in your fingertips. Can you respond so that then you are closer to the matter that we need to take a decision on today?
Chairperson, 31% is not too far from the competitive margin that similar industries in gas are receiving. If you look at the companies that are locally in South Africa, although they are not listed in the stock exchange, you will see that around 30% is what they have been given. Hence, when we were doing the consultation of the methodology, 30% was recommended by stakeholders, but then we needed to find a method that would be transparent and consistently in terms of the regulatory principles. So, Chair, 30% is not far when you compare it with similar industries. Even if you go to the petroleum sector, you will note that the 30% is not far. But we need to check.
With the companies here in South Africa, competitive profit for other gas traders on a competitive level, how much we have approved for other gas traders. Please, can you quickly respond to that?
Yes, we have approved around 31%. I think since we started with the methodology, it's between 29 and 31.5%. So it's not far from how we have been implementing. But I also want to agree with Mr. Mkhize that we need to check the UGI figures there to say, is it our error or is it because there is something happening with the company? But to answer your question, 30% is around what NERSA has been approving, and it's also as per when we were doing the stakeholder consultation of the methodology. If you recall, traders did argue for around 30%, and that's what NERSA is providing.
Okay, now to now assist for the decision, there's a figure that the licensee has applied for, and you mentioned that figure. It is there, and it's below, and it's on paragraph 4.6. If you look at that figure for the profit margin, so that's the figure that has been applied for. But the one that you calculated is above that figure because it's in terms. Now the one that you want the committee to approve is above that. Is that reasonable? And why so?
Yes, Chairperson. Yeah, I'm so sorry to interject, Chair. Chair, in terms of the methodology, the profit component should be around 31.5%. And then from there, because Kwande is selling to a reseller, we then allow for a 5% discount. That is why it now comes to 26%.
Okay.
I hope I've answered your question. Thank you.
Okay, that is fine. Mr. Mkhize?
I'm not necessarily pleased with the answer because, you know, we should have looked at this and come up with a definitive explanation as to what actually is happening here. Notwithstanding the fact that it's not a showstopper, but in our space, we are the experts, and therefore we need to be very clear in articulating what is actually happening and whether this still remains relevant or not, or whether it's such an anomaly that it should be taken out, even if it means that one does an average that excludes this number because it is totally off kilter. So I would say that my support is subject to amongst the issues I've raised in refining this portion, in enhancing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Members, I would like to then take you to the recommendations. The recommendations are that the Pipe Gas Subcommittee is requested to recommend to the Energy Regulator to approve the maximum gas price for Kwande and also the profit margin that is indicated, subject to the team verifying the figures associated with UGI before the matter is considered by the Energy Regulator. By show of hands, members. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I also support. Madam Spear, are you happy to support? Thank you, Madam Spear. Members, we are now done with item number 15. We go to item number 16, which is the round robin confirmation. It is here for the members to note. And the round robin decision that was taken is on the preliminary assessment of Columbus stainless steel application for a maximum gas price for the period July 2024 until 30 June 2025. Members, by show of hands, if you are happy to note and to note the round robin decision that was taken. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize, for noting. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I also note, Madam Spear, happy to note. Thank you very much, Madam Spear. Members, this is the last substantive agenda item for the open meeting. We have now come to the end of the open part of the meeting.